Are you a fan of true crime? Real stories of crimes and passion put into an anthology? Well, I have one from Japan that I think you might want to check out. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review and an unboxing of Love and Crime, which is an anthology that has come out from 88 films and will be coming out on the 20th of January, and you can pre-order a copy right now. MVD sent this out to me. Thank you very much. I have some thoughts about it, and I want to tell you what I think about it. We'll do a spoiler-free review first and sort of an unboxing and all the ingredients of everything inside afterwards. But let's get into it. So last night I watched this movie and I got to check it out, and I actually thought it was pretty decent. It's not a movie that's done in a way that's typical exploitation, although it is very much an exploitation film. I mean, they're taking true stories and then reenacting them on the screen into a horror movie, so to speak. Back in the day, in 1969, when this movie came out, well, probably a couple years before, there was a lot of films that were coming out that were doing, torture. There was a lot of murder and depravity that were on the screen, and they thought, hey, why don't we take the two big ingredients, love making and crime making, and slam them into one anthology based around real stories, real documented crimes. And these are stories from like the 1920s, the 1800s. It's really all over the place. There's 4 Japanese murderers, 3 women and 1 man, and he's a serial killer before they even came up with the terminology. There is a case in Toyokaku, which is a hotel about a woman who does anything to keep her hotel alive. Kunihiko Kodaira, who is a rapist killer that's going around doing some pretty heinous stuff. One of the bigger stories in this that they actually made into multiple different movies called Sada Abe, who is a woman who is able to kill her lover, and that's a crazy story. And then they also have one called Takahashi Oden, which is a woman who was one of the last ones to be beheaded in Japan, and man, is that story pretty wild too. There's some things in this movie that they do that I've never seen in another film, and I thought was really interesting, and I found out after the fact. But essentially, this is a story about a man who works in autopsies, and he actually has to do an autopsy on his own wife, who was cheating on him. And he doesn't understand why she unalived herself, so he does some investigation because apparently this autopsy really shook him. And he goes into the case files of a lot of these passions of crime to try to figure out why his wife did this to herself. Now, the director of this movie is Takahashi, who kind of takes some liberties with the stories. He paints it in a way that doesn't necessarily glorify everything, but more so kind of humanizes the people, and that there's something wrong with them. It really is as it is, but in some of the cases, you kind of feel bad for them, or at least can relate to them on a very surface level. And it's really odd as a viewer to be able to feel that way about something that's happening so heinous. And knowing that these are real stories on top of it adds another layer of that kind of like, what am I thinking? What am I watching? And there are some pretty wild things that happen in this movie, including a Lorena Bobbitt style act of vengeance. One that would make street trash, penis football, jealous. It's an anthology technically, but it kind of runs together really well. And one of the stories, the most popular, the Sada Abe story about the lady who kills her lover, all of the like history that she goes through, they tell it all. And they even interview the actual Sada Abe lady who did this and like went through trials and courts and all this other stuff, and they let out she's a free woman. And it's crazy that they actually spoke to the actual woman that's in this story, and she's like an older lady, and they even had the main actor talk to her and interview her. I thought that was wild. That's just insane to see in this little movie, you know what I mean? I don't know, like the director really went to some lengths to do it. A little movie that I might add that actually is its first time being released in America. So this will be the first time that many people get to see it. Now, you may know the director Takahashi from a lot of other films like The Malformed Man, and he also did Orgies of Edo, which is also one that you can pick up too. The true crime aspect of this really kind of made me interested in the stories, and I did enjoy this. I wasn't blown away by it, but you know, that interview with the actual lady who killed her own lover and the story that you find out about her really adds to the punch of this film. There is some pretty great practical effects. You know, some of it obviously is just drawing blood on people, but there is some stuff in the film that is a little gross. It's considered a gross film, a grotesque film in Japan, but you know, this is one that if you're a collector, you like true crime, you like true stories, you know, this is kind of an interesting one to have in your collection, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's gross, and you know, there are some uncompromising situations for men, mostly men in this one. Females in this movie get taken advantage of too, because there is a serial killer who does a lot of really heinous stuff, and that story's in here, but he also does get his comeuppance in real life. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed watching that part, but you know, it wasn't as bad as I've seen in many other films. So it's actually much more on a true crime with, you know, reenactments. Yeah, I think I would give this one probably like a 7, maybe even a 7.5 out of 10 on the scale of like, you know, anthologies and also true crime and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever really seen that many anthologies that do true crime like this, although I have seen, you know, random stories that are based on true events in an anthology. So, but yeah, it's coming out January 20th. So if you want to pick up a copy and pre-order it, all you have to do is wish list it down below. I'll put a link down for you to pick it up. Now we're going to get into all of the ingredients and everything that's inside of this release so you can check it out for yourself. We got the cover here, which is a little revealing, not really. A couple of scenes in the movies, you know, with some of the crazy people that you meet in here. This is new artwork, of course, by the way. You know, they obviously have these slips in here that they always do, but this is, you know, the full backing of it, which I think is actually pretty good. The original artwork, you know, maybe if you were fond of that, you can always switch to that on the other side. Now on the inside, you get the Blu-ray and the DVD, which is underneath. They both kind of share some of the artwork. Here's the DVD underneath. Has sort of the pop and slide in, so it goes underneath and stays without rubbing, you know, the discs together. You also get this booklet, which is kind of a discussion with Nathan Stewart, who kind of goes over sort of the history of Takahashi and where this movie got started. Takahashi used to work for Toei Films, and he did so many, you know, big films that made a lot of money. Some of them that got banned in Japan, by the way. A lot of these types of films did because they were considered subversive for some of the things in them. But to be honest with you, like, this one is really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was a lot more tame than I expected. So, but he did earn his sort of wings with Toei, and they gave him the right to be able to like go make his own personal films as well as work for Toei, which the Toei company was really strict about that kind of thing at the time, and he must have really earned it. But this is kind of a story about the whole situation on here, why these movies are different than a lot of people expect. He kind of compares them to Takashi Miike in the story because they are sort of exploitative. Takashi Miike doesn't shy away from like the gore or sex and things like that, so there is some similarities there, but I would not say that the style is the same. But I'll tell you, for a 1969 film, this is actually way more entertaining than I was expecting. So I really like 88 films. I think that what they do is they have a lot of really crazy titles that are coming out. I'm not too into the sexy stuff so much, but I do like what they are doing. They are offering up new movies that have never been outside of Japan or outside of Hong Kong, and this is one of them. You know, this is the first time this has been out in the US, so if you're curious about it and you want to pick it up before they sell it out, then you might want to pre-order it now. But yeah, now we got some extra features on this one. It wasn't a whole shit ton here. Obviously, we get a high definition Blu-ray presentation and 235:1 aspect ratio. There's the original mono audio 2.0 with new English subtitles, which are much better than the original, I guess. They got audio commentary by Jasper Sharp and Amber T, which I did not get to listen to. Brand new filmed introduction by Mark Schilling, a stills gallery, trailer, and originally and newly commissioned artwork by the artist Ilan Shady. This is in region A and B, so you can watch this, although I don't know what the DVD is. That may be in PAL or something like that. The Blu-ray is definitely A and B region. But thank you very much, MVD and 88 Films, for sending this one out to me. I thought it was very unique and a different type of watch than I normally get to watch. I'm used to kind of watching a lot of fiction, and seeing true crime in a way like this feels safer in some ways, you know, so... But thank you for sending it out. I would love to hear what you guys think about this movie. Have you ever heard of it? This is its first time in America, in the US, so a lot of people are seeing it for the first time now. I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. But thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.